welcome you now into Birds Huddle, powered by PointsBet. Alongside Barrett Brooks, I'm Amy Fadool. And Barrett, you were at camp today.
Yes.
Your first full look at this team in its entirety. Has your opinion changed at all?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
I mean, this team is a lot better than I thought they were going to be.
Okay, there you are.
Oh, yeah.
Video evidence that you were there.
Talking to Quick, and and we're just talking about how advanced this team is right now compared to where they were last year. Last year, they were learning the system, learning the terminology, just really learning what it was to be a Philadelphia Eagle under Nick Sirianni's reign. Well, now they know it. So since they know it now, they're a lot more advanced in terminology, understanding the little idiosyncrasies of what the coach wants, what exactly the coach wants when he says something. Those are all things that they didn't have last year, so they're miles ahead of what they used to be.
Yeah, it's Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon. So both these guys are coming into year two, and you're seeing that even in day two, right?
Absolutely. And it's one of those situations where you look at how the team is out there running around, how quick they are, how crisp they are. I had a problem with 58 minutes, a practice being 58 minutes. Today it was like 115. Well, I don't have the problem anymore because I see how efficient they are in getting to where they're supposed to be, understanding what's asked of them, make sure they're giving max effort every time they're in between those lines. They're going to be all right.
All right. Quantity over quality for Barrett.
There we go.
Meanwhile, our Taryn Hatcher was also there and gives us the latest from camp, including more on Jason Kelce.
Chances are, if you've seen any videos from Eagles training camp, you may have noticed that these players are wearing these big black padded pieces on their helmets. Well, they're called guardian caps, and they're meant to add an extra layer of protection. But today, Jason Kelce, he took that protection to a new level, adding yet another layer of bubble wrap.
Just having fun, I mean, they say the guardian caps add 20% protection. I figure the bubble wrap gave me another 2 or 3, so we're just adding some more protective layers.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball for John Gannon, the word of the day is all about versatility.
There's value to be able to play different coverages, different fronts, depending on who you're playing and our matchups. So you're going to see a lot out there. That's by design. That's to say, hey, over the course of training camp, we want to work this for the first week. And then the next week, we want to work this because, we might not need this for the first couple weeks, but then all of a sudden we're going to need it. And we wanted to have it repped and rinsed and see who's comfortable and, what looks good, what doesn't.
We're still going over everything. Nothing is set in stone. I just know that I'm here. Whatever, JG asked me to do, whatever Wash asked me to do, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to give it my best effort and try to be the best that I can be for them.
Haason Reddick hoping to make a big impact in front of what will probably be a pretty big crowd. In fact, he said his family and friends are already fighting over how many tickets they can get and for which games. Of course, the most coveted ticket is that game against the Cowboys here in South Philadelphia on October 16th. From Eagles training camp, Taryn Hatcher, NBC Sports Philadelphia.
That brings us to our 3-point stance, presented by your Mercedes. Your first stance, Barrett, Jonathan Gannon has everything in place to be successful.
Absolutely. When I looked at and evaluated what this team is going to do on the defensive side of the ball and how they're going to go about taking care of it, they have all the pieces. In fact, they have so much that I had to write it down because they have so many guys that they're going to be looking to play different positions, understanding, where they're supposed to be at. Absolutely. So you look at it. From a defensive standpoint, if they run a 30 front, they have the 30 front personnel. They can go with Jordan Davis right up head over the center. They can put Fletcher Cox and Milton Williams and all those guys on either side of him, Javon Hargraves at the gaps. Now you have a 50 front. You could put Haason Reddick on the outside. You can put Brandon Graham on the outside. You have a 50 front. You could take Jordan Davis out and put Hargraves and Fletcher Cox there and then have 2 defensive ends. That's a 40 front. All these versatile fronts make it hard for offensive coordinators to really dial in on what you're doing, which puts them in a bad position. So now what do you run on certain downs? First down was their Achilles heel. They didn't do good on first down. In fact, they were averaging like 6 yards a pop on first down. So when you're now you're in 2nd and 4, second and 3. And it's easy. The playbook opens up immensely when you have to deal with those type of short yardage situations. Well, with these multiple fronts, it gives you, the time to do whatever you want to do. I mean, even as far as linebackers, T.J. Edwards, you got Davion Taylor, these guys sitting there, Kasir White, multiple guys that can go in and play multiple positions at the linebacker position. You put a guy at the wheel, you could put a guy at the jack position, you could put a guy at the Sam position. All these different variations where you can put guys gives you the ability to run a lot of different defenses. Now, the key is, can these guys go out and execute these different, assignments when they're out there? When you're in a 30 front, you two-gapping, meaning you're going to hold a guy up, the guy in front of you up, and you got both gaps on the side of you as a defensive lineman. If you're in a 4-down front, a 40 front, that means you have one gap, so you get up the field and create pressure from there. Can these guys differentiate how to do that, not just within, play to play, but, team to team? Now, if they go to another team, it's going to be different from what they'll do against the team they just previously played. Having that, having the autonomy to do that is really a great thing to have, because now offensive coordinators can't go out there and specifically just block one thing against you. But your players have to be able to go out there and execute the offense. They have to be able to switch between those different concepts in their head and play those different positions and be successful at those positions.
That's one of the reasons training camp's got to be so important, right?
Absolutely. So when you say, all right, they're going to play multiple fronts, they can play multiple fronts, but can they play these multiple fronts good? Can they execute these fronts? Can these guys get it in their mind, the difference between 2-gap, 1-gap? Can they get in their mind the difference between, all right, playing man-to-man, playing 2-man, playing cover 3, playing cover 2? All those things can be going out. You can go out there and call them, but can they execute it?
I have never seen our offensive lineman so jacked up for defense. He is, I love it. Your second stance, Haason Reddick should be rushing the passer as much as possible. Why?
Exactly, because that's what they're paying him for.
Yeah.
They pay him because he has been a double-digit sack guy for the last 2 years. We haven't had that in about 10 years. Haason Reddick is a defensive end, just has to be smaller, and he can drop back and pass. Now, don't get it twisted. He's going to have to drop back every once in a while and go into coverage. That's what you're going to have to do, because you want to throw multiple fronts at these different defensive coordinators. Plus, you don't want the offense to go in and get a bead on what you're doing. If Haason Reddick lines up over the left side the entire time and he's rushing the entire time, they're not going to do anything but slide the protection that way. But if you get in a position where, all right, they don't know if he's going to rush or if he's going to drop back in coverage, now you're sliding to a guy that's not going to be there, which gives you now the time to go out there and rush a Brandon Graham, to rush a Derek Barnett. It keeps the offense off kilter, because now you don't know who's rushing, who's not rushing. Can he drop back and cover somebody? Yes, he can. He's done it before. He's just more adapted going out there and rushing the passer, getting past the offensive tackle, and then you can slide the line wherever you want to slide it, but you don't know where these guys are coming from. That's the best thing about running multiple fronts. You don't know who's coming, who's not coming. As an offense, you don't know where to send a running back or a tight end to try to block them. It just gives you time to be a very, very it's almost to the point you have to be in a position where, all right, I'm a guess,
and you're
going to guess wrong half the time. I'm going to guess right half the time. It's just, it's harder as an offensive coordinator to really get a bead on who we need to send protection to and who's going to be the one-on-one block.
Yeah, because as you mentioned, game to game, it's not going to look the same, so you can't really rely on that. That is a really good thing, that versatility. Your final stance, Jason Kelce is having way too much fun for this to be his last season. I mean, he said it himself. He's having a blast out there.
Even though he has a center in training, that has drafted a guy, he's definitely out there just enjoying life, Now, this is the beginning of training camp. This is only his 3rd day of practice. I want to see how he's going to feel week 10, where his body is held together by bubble gum and duct tape.
And maybe that bubble wrap.
Right, and that bubble wrap right there. When he's in the ice tub for 30 minutes and picking himself out of bed and having to get things working that should be working on a regular, but it's not working because it's been beat up, He's at this point, he's having a great time. He's enjoying it. He's got these younger guys there, and they also understand that, he's going to get those maintenance days that veteran players have. So we're going to try to push this as long as they can. But it's nothing like having a guy that's a future Hall of Famer, an All-Pro, an All-World center that's enjoying the game as much as he does.
Yeah, I would think it keeps things loose at practice.
Oh, absolutely. You look at him. I mean,
how do you not? He's got bubble wrap
from a Mumber suit to a bubble wrap head. I mean, you name it, he's doing it.
He is the best.